Good morning and welcome to Inside Tennessee. We hope your Sunday is off to a good start. Along with my colleague John North, I'm John Becker. We welcome you to our broadcast. And guess what? Yes, there is an election this summer, not just in November. And that's what we're here to talk about. Because, John, in full transparency, we're not going to be on the air for a few weeks because of something called the Ollies.
That's right, something coming out of Paris, France, as they say. So we might be missing, but don't you forget the election.
1 month away. With us to break it down is Chris Davis. He's the Administrator of Elections in Knox County. Always great to see you. Thank you for making time.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Our panel this morning includes Republican Janet Testerman. She served on City Council for a number of years. We're glad to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and Don Bosch, our resident Democrat who runs his own law firm.
Good morning, gentlemen and ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chris Davis, let's start with you. And here is really the headline for local elections. It's hard to get more than 2 out of every 10 voters to come out and decide these races. That's the challenge we're facing. How do we get more people to show up?
You beg, you get on TV shows like this, you get on the radio, you get on social media, and ultimately I think a lot of it is driven by the candidates and the issues that they present. You know, there's a lot of elections and races that are going to be on this August 1st ballot, and we can certainly talk about U.S. Senate primary and U.S. House primary, but there's a lot of local races. You have 7 county commission seats, basically 2/3 of your local leadership for the next 4 years. 4 out of 9 school board seats, 44% of your school board for the next 4 years. I know you guys get them. We get those calls, if not every day, multiple times a week. People are complaining about their roads or their schools or something's going on. Who is my county commissioner?
Right.
Who should I contact? This is the voters' opportunity to get out and voice their concerns and speak to the leadership for the next 4 years, as well as the town of Farragut has 2 new aldermen and a lot of stuff always going on out in the town of Farragut if people are watching. So it's always an opportunity to get out and make their voice heard. Because it was the old saying, and I firmly believe this after 12 years in this job: if you're not doing government, government's doing you. So you want a voice in the leadership that matters.
Tuesday was the last day to vote, to register to vote. I'm wondering if leading up to Tuesday you saw any kind of an increase or a flurry of activity of people saying, I want to register.
Well, for any deadline that we have, which is 30 days prior to an election, we will see some increased activity. And I will say there's a pretty good amount of activity that came in. Nothing like there's going to be in early October, which is that deadline before the November presidential election. But there was some activity, and I will tell you just bluntly, a lot of people came in and they registered and they said, we really wanted to register today. And we're like, okay, election day is August 1st. And they're like, well, the president's going to be on the ballot. And I'm like, the president's not going to be on. And we have to do a little bit of education with those folks. And so I think that's the disheartening thing, really, that it's just everybody's focused on president. And I'm certainly not saying that's not important, but it's these local races that impact our lives day to day.
And in fairness, it's the delegates for the president that are on the ballot, not the president in their primaries.
Right. Yeah.
And I want to bring on our panel, but just this question is one that always comes up, and that is election security. And you spent part of your week reassuring people that these voting machines work. You even demonstrated how they work. Explain the concerns that you hear and how you try to explain to people just how the system does indeed work.
Yeah, by law, before every election, the Election Commission is all 95 counties in Tennessee are required to have what's called a voting machine test. Essentially, it's a mock election where we invite candidates, we invite the public. Obviously, the media is welcome and encouraged. I want to thank Channel 10 for being there. But we actually will have a mock election where every candidate on the ballot coming up gets at least 1 vote. Every race has at least 2 votes. Every race has an undervote, meaning nobody voted for it. Every race has an overvote, meaning 2 candidates received a vote. Every race has a write-in, and then we run those through the scanners, the machines, if you will, for the voters. All the voters who people.
Yeah, this is not Terminator, is it?
That's exactly right. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is we're trying to see the way we've programmed the machines, the logic and the accuracy. Is it accurate? And ultimately, every single time we've done this for 12 years, whether it was voting electronically, you guys remember the wheel?
Sure.
Or now we're on year 4 of paper ballots in Knox County. And of course, as of January 1, every county has to have at least a paper trail. So everybody watching us, you're voting on some form of paper. But ultimately, we want to see, hey, is there something we did wrong? And it turned out perfect. And the only disheartening thing to me about this public machine test, as I mentioned off air, was no one showed up. We had a bunch of our workers, had some members of the media, want to thank them for coming. Certainly candidates are invited, public's invited. I know we have people who are, whether they're questioning the process, skeptical of the process, they're downright, they're accusatory of the process. I encourage them, and I'm telling you right now, October the 2nd for the presidential election is the next one. We'll certainly publicize that. But I encourage you, come out and ask your questions. Take video, take pictures. This is the one opportunity where you can actually take a picture of someone's ballot. You know, you can take a picture of the machine in process and all of the steps that we take to ensure election security.
I'd love to piggyback on John's question because people are so hypersensitive about the credibility of the voting process. And so tell us about, you know, how do you feel about clean voter rolls? How do you go about ensuring that we have clean voter rolls when it comes to, you know, purging people that have moved, who have passed away, et cetera?
Yeah, well, we work with the Secretary of State's office, and we have a database with all 95 counties that we literally every single weekday, holiday, July 4th, we have somebody go in there and work, where we compare voters from across the state and everybody who's registered. We check their social security numbers, their birthdates, their names, their addresses to make sure that if somebody's moved from Knox County and they didn't tell us they did, but they moved to Loudoun County and they registered in Loudoun County, it tells us to then purge that voter. If someone has moved out of the state of Tennessee and registered in another state, it can tell us that. When someone passes away, we get records from the Department of Vital Statistics every 30 days to make sure that we purge those individuals from the voter rolls. I would maintain that, and I think the Heritage Foundation has verified that we are #1 3 years in a row for election integrity. That voter database is crucial to maintaining voter integrity because I know everybody's concerned. We only want individuals who are qualified and legally able to register to vote, and then I want everybody who is qualified and eligible to vote to get out and cast that ballot.
So let me just ask the pointed political question about it. How many times have you caught a, quote, illegal immigrant trying to vote in Knox County?
None that I'm aware of.
How many
times? Let me
times?
rephrase that. None in the last 12 years.
None in the last 12 years. That's how long you've been there?
That's how long I've been there. That's right.
And how many times have you found a dead person having voted in Knox County?
None.
Okay.
None. Absolutely not, no.
We're going to take a quick break on Inside Tennessee, back with more of our questions for Chris Davis, the Administrator of Elections, and we'll also break down where you can vote early and then on Election Day. That's coming up.
Good question.